There's a common misconception about killers, and it's this. The idea is they thrive on adrenaline. Now, there is some truth to that. Killers like the thrill of competition and the adrenaline rush they get when they emerge victorious, and they like the, as I always say, the froth of battle. They love being in there, mixing it up. But when it's time to perform, I coined this phrase, it's not adrenaline they're functioning on, it's Zen-anline. They have a Zen state. And it's more Zen-anline than adrenaline. There's a little bit of adrenaline there, but they're just siphoning it off. They know that to perform their very best, they have to be in a flow state. Their mind has to be mostly quiet. They have to have more energy than normal. It's not like you're sitting around meditating, but their mind's mostly still. It's mostly silent. And when the mind is still and mostly silent, that unlocks the ability for coordinated movement. If you're a speaker, it unlocks the ability to articulate and be eloquent. If you're an artist, to get into that Zen-anline state, you're excited to paint something, but then you get into the Zen-anline state, and all of a sudden your brush strokes are more fluid, and you're more open, and your mind is producing creative opportunities that you wouldn't produce if your mind was overrun with adrenaline and excitement. So it's like 10-20% excitement, and then the rest is this very calm, tranquil existence. Think about a time when you played a sport or performed very well. You gave a speech and you were just in the zone, or having a conversation even, and everything you said came out perfectly and flowed beautifully. You notice there was a baseline of excitement, just a simmering excitement, sort of like some foods burn very slow. They're not like junk foods that burn very fast. Slow burning excitement, and your mind was calm, agile, spontaneous. It had a lot of dexterity. It could monitor and observe what was happening in the environment, and with very little lag time adjust and adapt to what was being said in the conversation or what was being presented to you in the competition. So great killers, the conception might be that they're frenetic and frothing at the mouth, but again, they love the froth of battle, but they go into it with a little bit of adrenaline, but they're mostly operating on Zen-anline. I know it's a funny word, but it's Zen coursing through their veins. It's a calmness coursing through their veins. It's a mastery. When you're a master, there's no need for outrageous displays of emotion. There's no need for over-trying. It's the perfect dose. There's a perfect dose for every situation. I always talk about in basketball, if you're really skilled, the defender feels as if they just almost blocked your shot. But what you're doing is just giving them the minimum effective dose. You're just getting it over their fingertips, just enough. And if the guy was a little taller or jumped a little higher, your shot would go just over their fingertips still. It'd miss the bigger guy by the same amount, and they would say the same thing, because when you're in a Zen state, your energy is perfectly optimized for the given situation, the given scenario. So remember, killers operate on adrenaline, yes, but mostly on Zen. Really interesting. I just gave the talk on Zen-anline, which is the idea that killers don't operate on adrenaline, but rather on Zen-anline. It's a phrase I coined, or term I coined, which means coursing through their veins is a tranquil state, a meditative state, far more than a hyped up, energetic state. So I heard this, and then I was watching the guy from Sports Science be interviewed, and he said this. So I'll play it right here.
Adrenaline is very bad for decision making. So if you have 1 second to make a decision, say, and adrenaline is coursing through your body, it's almost like you're skipping microseconds because it's clouding your judgment. When you're cool and you're calm, you're Warren Moon, you're Kobe, LeBron, you're Michael, you know, whoever you are, you do not have this adrenaline rushing, and time is slower because you have more microseconds available to you. Even though it's literally the same amount of time, you're seeing more during that period of time.
Okay, so he said exactly what I've been saying for the last 10, 20 years in studying peak performers. The thing I would note that's a little bit different, again, is they use a little bit of adrenaline. They siphon off a little bit of adrenaline. And that little bit of adrenaline gives them an ability to focus. It's kind of, without it, you might as well be sitting down and meditating. You need the excitement. You can't be completely zen. There's just a little trace element of that adrenaline in your system when it's time to perform in business or in sports. And the way you see it is in the eyes. It's the fire in the eyes, that trace of adrenaline, but it's not a raging inferno. You can even see it in someone like Dick Butkus, right? He was a football player back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, sometime in that era. And he played with a ferocity, a ferociousness, and he was just a killer. But you could see that that adrenaline only came out at the moment of contact or when he was exploding towards the tackle in football. Most of the time he was calm and his eyes were searching and seeing the world, seeing the game, observing what he needed to observe to take out his opponents. And that required a sort of Zen-like state. And then it was ferocious. So there's times when you let the adrenaline peak a little bit, but you have to have control of it and push it back down after you let it explode out. So operate on Zen-anline rather than adrenaline.